At 3 p.m., I am here, you are here. This is our dating place, right? For the last 5 years. Yeah, we're quite a good dating people. We always come at the same time. 3 p.m., Saturday, we talk about shutdown, government shutdown, and its impact on small businesses. Let's get going. All right. So in every of our webinar, and folks, this is your first time to come, you should be here. I want to introduce you to communitycpa.com. That is our website. On our website, if you click, you're going to see a lot of information. For example, you can become our client without talking to us. Isn't that funny? But of course you want to talk to us. But if you just got so busy, like a lot of our small business owners are like that. They're so busy during the day. The only time they have is at night. Then the office closed. What do? They go online. They go to onboard with us. They become our client. Then they start communicating with us on the email, on text, or even on the portal. So there's so many ways to keep us working for you. You know, we're the kind of people that we're workaholics, right? So we actually work for you as long as you ask. But if you're on vacation, we're on vacation. But if the government shut down, we're not on vacation. We're not paid by the government. So that is one worry you don't need to have. Another one is our website, our YouTube channel. This is a summary of our firm, and this is our YouTube channel. Go on to youtube.com and you type in Community CPA. You will have this channel come up to you. We have over 1,300 or 1,500, a lot of videos inside over the past 5 years, very good 5 years. We started the first online webinar back in 2020 in March. So that's how long we are online. And every week, we constantly, during the pandemic time was even more, but later on, we do 4 webinars a week. One is on Saturday, is today. I talk about a larger topics. Then on Tuesday, I focus a single point. Then on Wednesday and the Thursday, we translate the Saturday one or Tuesday one into Chinese and Spanish. So they are kind of repeating of one of the important webinars of the week. So that's kind of our structure. And other than that, and you also can learn about me and my firm and the clients behind us through these 2 books that we published online. One, the 8 a.m. is how to start a business. 10 a.m. how to grow your business, even during pandemic time. Then the third one, which is not published and we're still working on, is the 2 p.m. how to expand your business. So in this webinar, I actually talk about a expansion. I will conclude that at the end, but it is so important for us. No responsibility disclaimer, please. Whatever you learn on the internet, including our content, you have to verify that, right? So some politicians are very good at lying on the stage quickly, and if you verify them, they're all lies. So same thing with the rest of the social media. You just need to verify that. But as a firm, when we come out to speak on the webinar, we have already done our best to put the right information for you at that right time. But of course, knowledge expires, rules, regulation changes. So you really want to make sure that you're listening to something that is true, that is factual. There is nothing not so factual about government shutdown. We're right in it. We're right in the middle of the shutdown. The U.S. federal government entered a partial shutdown. They call that partial on October 1st this year. So basically, the Republican-controlled Congress, which is Senate, House, both are Republican-controlled. So basically, it's Republican-controlled Congress decided to shut down the government. And I know there's a Democrats, Republican, both parties. But to say is a Democrat shutdown the government is a little stretch because it is Republican-controlled Congress. So I kind of think it's funny. I sometimes feel like it was a baby fight. Do you ever feel, you look at this what's going on right now, you're just like, oh, what the hell, people, why can't people forget about left and right? Why can't we just look at up and down, up the God and down the hell, and try to live a life so you can go to heaven? Wouldn't that be a good way to think about life instead of left and right? Okay, so without this legal spending authority on October 1st, so some of the government functions is no longer there. This is the shutdown. This is actually the second shutdown for President Trump, and he had a first one, then he has this second one. So we, by now, I'm so sure that we should be getting used to what's going on, right? We knew there's a shutdown. But what are these shutdown doing for our small business is a totally different story. The prior shutdown in 2019, I think the momentum, at least from my standpoint, when we were looking at our businesses, and I know there's still very strong current in terms of carry the government to open and making it open, and there's trying in there. But this time's shutdown, it is not a trying effort, it's actually more of a display effort, more of a demonstration effort, more of a power demonstration. So with that said, until the power is really demonstrated fully, the shutdown may not be ending. So with that said, the underline of how to prepare for the shutdown is very different from 2019 to 2025. So this is why we are putting this together to really work it out. I understand our small business owners, and you're not in the Congress to vote on anything, and you're relying on your representative in the area. Some of our small business doesn't even speak English properly, never mind about going into politics. So they're more of reacting to what's going on right now in the government. But that's okay. In United States of America, the government is running by vote. So people voted for President Trump to be the president. So that is the simple fact. There's no debate about it. So whatever happens in the government is what the American people wants to see. So the shutdown is also part of the American people's desire. Maybe not exactly spelled out, I want a shutdown, but yes, when you voted it, you did agree to everything that government wants to do right now. So let's not even argue about right or wrong. What we're trying to do here is to educate our people so we know how to work it out, right? To the best of we can. So the economic impact is needless to really to say, and also some of those statistics, don't you already learned? One person can utter out a percentage like, I don't know where that come from, but people are using statistical data to speak their own opinion. It's almost like pulling out something out of your own pocket to prove that you're what you want to prove, right? So statistics can be used in such a cunning way that it doesn't really represent the truth. But is there a real statistics that can speak the truth? Maybe there is, but maybe it is not available to the public to see, right? So in terms of thinking about government shutdown, just think of in a business way. If in this little town, you have one big business is going to stop working, what happened to that town? The business is not working, so people are staying at home. They don't have a job, giving them more chance to have other things go wrong at home. Number two, nobody buying anything because they don't have money. Nobody, the big business doesn't buy anything, so the other small businesses are dying. So that chain reaction is that our government is a big government. Republican agenda always is to shrink the government, right? Make it smaller. That's where Elon Musk come around and nicked everything out, and we cut government by what percentage? That is kind of the agenda, kind of the belief, the doctrines of the size of the government. But unfortunately, our government is very big. It is the largest consumer in our country. So when that consumer stops to consume, everything else is not working. Of course, shutdown for 10 days versus shutdown for 10 months is very different. And nobody can imagine we're going to shut down for 10 months. But what I'm saying is that because the purpose of a shutdown is not the same as 2019, so this shutdown could be much longer. So with that said, the shutdown will stop a lot of activities, so inflation will go up and people will lose their job. There's no purchase powers and economic going to go down. There's a lot of negative things related to shutdown. Nothing positive comes from shutdown. So with that said, the economic data, I say about the statistical data. It is not me order those data. So in my business, I ask for data because I use data to make decisions, right? But this whole United States of America data is so massive. And if I say, let's prove U.S. economy is booming right now, you bet there will be people give you data to prove that. If you say United States economy is shitty right now, there's data for you to prove that as well. So, giving that, and what we want to do is we want to sense the economy with our own skins in our own environment. Okay? So that is the most accurate sensor you have around you. You're a small business owner. You make sales every day. And you talk to clients every day. I am a CPA firm. We speak to over 10,000 businesses every year. We have a little senses in what's going on. So shutdown is nothing but negative. It will exaggerate the crisis we already have that was triggered by tariff tax imposing. And so this is whole rework, this whole economic order rework. But for small guys like us, we may not get involved with so much of differences. Large business will experience changes. But for us, we know the economy impact is negative, and what we want to understand is how that impact us. So the effect can triple through local economy, can touch our skin. If you as a small business owner owns a coffee shop outside of a federal building, or a child care provider, right, serving federal workers, your daily sales gonna go zero after the furlough, right? There are 850,000 federal employees are furloughed right now. So those are the changes you will see. And the border, of course, the border security and the ICE raid are not part of the shutdown. They are continued. They are priority. They already got funded. So don't consider that part as a shutdown. Oh, great, government shutdown, so immigration raid will stop. No, that is clearly stated. And actually, ICE made announcements saying that there's no change to how they will carry out their work. So the changes is more on the non-essential side to the federal government. Non-essential includes small businesses. The small business related services all stopped, and those employees are furloughed, and many small firms, small companies who receive federal grants or federal contract payment. You know how the federal payment sometimes is when you provided the service, you know how much you spend, then you submit, you get funded, right? So those will stop. So those are the ones really affecting the business itself, on the ground, the basic economy, the lower level food chain kind of level of businesses are being affected. So Internal Revenue Service, they will provide limited taxpayer service and the business help. So because they have to cut people, processing will be delayed. And so those non-essential governmental help, which we take for granted, and we pick up the phone and we call IRS, supposedly waiting for 2 hours, they will pick up the call, and now the message will go, there's nobody pick up your call, right? So those are the things you will experience while the shutdown is going on. Cash flow. Small businesses cash flow, a lot of small business cash flow is relying on the continuing funding from SBA small business loans, especially those loans are right now, if you are in the process of purchasing a building and then your bank had already submitted your application to SBA to get your 7A and 8A kind of funding or 504 kind of funding, and that stop. That is not there anymore. I'm pretty sure you already heard your bank telling you that now the government shut down, so let's just give a little bit more time. We're going to wait for that because we can't fund you until the government committed to our loan application. So with that saying, your small business cash flow is just not there if you're relying on the government. And in a U.S. Chamber report estimated $1.2 billion in delayed small business payments within the first 10 days of shutdown. So that related to about 1,600 businesses. So it is a pretty serious condition for businesses that leveraging SBA loan or leveraging the governmental support in importing, exporting, all of these things will be affected. Like I mentioned to you, the ICE raids are considered essential. So for that reason, ICE stated that there's no change to U.S. immigration laws or border enforcement during the shutdown. And immigration raids and deportation have proceeded actively, including these high-profile operations in Chicago. ICE enforcement and the border security remain as a priority for this administration. Detention facilities remain operational at a full capacity. And the new contracts for migrant housing have been awarded during this period, so they just gonna host every deportees in this housing till they're deported, right? But one thing I want to mention to you is that even though the raids are not being not being delayed, they're still going. The immigration court system faces delay due to the shutdown. So this will give the deportees an issue, right? If they needed to contact the immigration court system, or if their lawyer need to get update for them on whatever their application is, so that is being delayed while the enforcing actions are still going on. All right, so the SBA loan financing freeze, that is, I sort of mentioned, those are suspended. All new 7A 504 micro loan approval during the shutdown. About 4,000 pending application in the limbo right now. SBA reported a percentage of its staff furloughed, 24%. A lot. I know in our local office there's only few people. If they furlough 24, they would have to split a person in half to furlough them. So we'll see how that works. But those are all realities, the realities. It's very much like you get an earthquake, that's reality. So you got a governmental earthquake, that's reality, right? Commercial lender often delays and deny credit in the interim, citing, if you got a letter citing uncertainty in government guarantees. That's what they mean. They meant to say that the government shutdown enabled us, crippled us, so we can't make decisions. You don't have a good enough guarantee for us to loan you, so our bank cannot give you any dollars. Then your project is on hold. I know. If your project is on hold, folks, making sure that you stay vigilant. You continue to pursue avenues to get funding. Maybe all of these busy, you result in nothing. But at a minimum, in the process of pursuing, you might find alternative in case the shutdown is going to last longer than you ever know. There's 30 days is the longest, but what if it has become 30 months? That's not possible, but that just means we don't have a country anymore. But 3 months, like I said, this shutdown is different than how I see it in 2019. So this shutdown could have no ending, just because the purpose of the shutdown is not the same. With that said, impact on small business contracting and procurement impacts. So new contract awards and renewal through federal agencies are paused. So that is, we have one client in construction business, 60-some percent of their contract are actually awarded by one federal agency. So even before shutdown, they already got a warning letter saying that it might be paused because they are not sure the government will shut down or not. So, people know it's coming. It's sort of like planned actions at the high level. And existing contract payment to vendor may be delayed. That's another thing we need to know. If you are getting reimbursed, and after you get reimbursed, you pay your vendor, and maybe you need to talk to your vendor about the source of funds because the federal government didn't pay you, so you cannot pay them. I am so sure the people at next level would understand what's going on. So hopefully, everyone in the commerce world all have a extended patience, right, for what's going on, and giving each other a little pat on the shoulder. Okay, I can wait. And I just, I was paying one bill late to somebody. Of course, we're not owing people money because of government shutdown. So, the vendor actually sent me an email back and saying, oh, it's no big deal. We know you always paid everything on time. That was such a nice gesture. And I think we all need to do a little bit of that to take care of our vendors. When you pay late, and express gratitude, right? To make sure to appreciate them, to allow you to pay late. So then try to get by with this government shutdown. And all the other things related to manufacturing, technical technology services, and also construction, infrastructure building, those are largely supported by the government funds, are going to face delay at a minimum. So in any situation is a different scenarios. So I'm just hoping that you are not alone. So you figure that out. If you need professional help, you get professional help to help you to figure that out. Okay. Then the supply chain and the vendor payment issues. Supply chain will be interrupted with this government shutdown, and you will experience that if any of your steps is involved with the government shutdown. So in the grocery store, I know the government don't pay for the grocery bills, but they have these food stamp programs, SNAP programs, people are using that money to buy your groceries, right? So if the shutdown prolongs, then I know for the month of October, the food stamp program are still going to be fully funded. But if they last for more than 30 days, in November, the government don't have enough money to give to the food stamp recipients, so it will be cut down. So that would affect grocery stores, every grocery stores out there. So those are the supply chain interruptions will come in, and then the permit, on the small business side, when you are we're not talking about permit yet, and I have a slice for that. But for the vendor payment side of things, and if you are receiving the payment and the person is waiting for the government money and then you don't get it, so that is not something you can change. So we really need to, small business owners, you really need to understand your vendors. You need to understand where their money coming from. So that way help you to budget whether you will face much more serious cash shortfall or not, right? So regulatory permitting delay is another thing. So many agencies suspension with license, like exporting license, certifications critical to production timeline. There's some certification program has already been canceled. For example, DOT had canceled the disadvantaged business certification for minority women-owned business. They're canceling it altogether. So there's things will be suspended or canceled. So like EPA and USDA and FDA backlog slow product launches. So especially for food, agriculture, and manufacturing businesses, it is just going to impact that. So if you are in the research field and you are getting grants to launch product, and then this money will not be there, it will be delayed. Construction and energy firms face work stoppages, waiting for federal environment approvals, though that is, the green initiative is out of window, right? So anything that related to green initiatives, and if you're teetering around the edge whether you continue or not continue, because the federal government has already decided to largely cut those kind of efforts. So those are the things, it really impact our small business owners, because we have businesses who are solely 100% energy green initiatives. So that's what they do. They provide consulting services to the farmers, to the manufacturing. They make money out of providing them with solutions that also save their taxes. So that now is out of the window. Time-sensitive compliance deadline may be impacted. Business should document the impact and seek extension when available. So there's always a reasonable cause for business owners to work with the government to waive the penalty, right? With the government shutdown, you may end up delay certain things, but you still want to document that, because the government not going to adjust their system to say that, okay, you are not going penalized. So the penalty is still going to come as normal. But then you have documentation to back it up, saying that, hey, at that time you shut down the government, that's why I didn't. So if that is some kind of documentation you can save, trust me, 2 years later they're going to come to penalize you, then you have the documentation with you. They're not going to be so fast to penalize you next month so you know what happened. They're doing that 3 years later, so you'll be like, oh, when did government shut down? I don't even remember. So don't do that, and make sure that you have documentation somewhere. And one of the business owner was asking me that, Ying, there's so many things you say documentation, I don't know where to put it. So I give him an idea. I said that very easy. You just put your documentation, what you got, important stuff on the calendar. You just put that on the calendar, and then on the calendar you say where you saved it, then that be it. If you're only good with calendar on your Outlook, because I see him using his phone all the time on the calendar, so that would be a good way to do. And even if 3 years later you got penalty and you want to waive it due to government shutdown, and you can actually come back to this day and look at to see what's going on this time, what kind of documentation you have in your system, right? So there's so many ways to organize your system. Let's save that talk for future. And this is travel and the transportation impact. National park, just don't go to national park because they would cut the securities in national park. If you happen to be swallowed by a bear or something, and there's nobody going to come to save you. So just, national park, you should not to visit, because if it is shut down, the park should be shutting down. And then if you go in and you litter and you do things in there, nobody take care of the park. So really, that's one of the things that we tell folks during the government shutdown, and do not try to visit the federally controlled premises. So that way, you don't create a waste. They also don't have to be responsible for your accident if you have one. Flight delay and the airport processing pressures reported due to staffing and operating complications is mushroomed everywhere. So let me kind of explain to you about this government shutdown related to flight safety. Flying safety has a lot to do with the personnel who work on it or not. Okay, so officers at Transportation Security Administration and the air traffic controllers at the Federal Aviation Administration are considered essential workers. So that means they cannot not work, but they are required to work but not receiving pay during the shutdown. How do you like that? Go to work and not getting paid for a month or two? So it was reported that people are taking sick leaves. I really believe they're sick. They're not pretending, because it is a sick situation. The FAA manages flight operation by limiting the number of flights to what the controllers can safely handle to maintain safety standards. What does that mean? If they don't have people to come to work, everybody calling sick, they just gonna send less flight on the air so they don't collide in the middle of the air, right? So the shutdown has led to staffing shortage and increased stress among the controllers and the employees, the TSA employees. So flight delay and cancellation are customer-facing issues. You see it. You as a traveler, you feel it. But there are deeper and more alarming issues, more dangerous, related to the delay, related to this whole shutdown. For example, weather service, cybersecurity support. These are diminished with the shutdown. So what I'm trying to say to folks is that the AI on internet may tell you it is safe to fly. And I'm here to tell you, if you can drive, don't fly. That's all. Because of these visible and invisible reasons. All right. Then you want to, every time we talk about issues, we try our best to give you support, give you answers. So we say that you want to make sure you reserve your cash. So if right now you have cash, don't rush to buy another new vehicle. If you say that, oh, Ying, if I don't buy a vehicle, I will pay a lot of taxes. No, that's not true. And if you say that, that means your tax preparer did not know nothing about strategic tax saving. That probably tells you that you should have been Community CPA's clients. Then going somewhere, they tell you that you have to buy vehicles every year to reduce your taxes. That would be very ridiculous. You need to know your cash flow for about 60 days. I'm not asking you to project for the future like the financial planner asks you to do. No, I just want you to know this month and next month. Project your cash flow. Make sure you're really, really okay with your cash flow. And then notify your suppliers, right? To tell them your constraints in this shutdown time. Negotiate flexible terms. Maintain open communications with your employees and with your customers. I say this one because as small business owner, we are a little bit inverted. We don't talk about problems in our business. We sometimes want to hide them because if we talk too much about our business, we might lose all the people who work in the company because they are like, man, you got too many problems, I'm leaving, right? So I know the baseline of the small business owners. You have a layer of worry that is not understood by your customer, that is not understood by people who work with you and for you. So I understand that. But you want to overcome that right now. You want to be able to communicate. Communicate as much as comfortable you are to the people around you, because that's how we can hold each other through a difficult time. That is my belief. And I always try, I always say that as a person, I really don't have a lot of things to hide. I don't know what I need to hide because everything is in the open with technology. And whether Community CPA is top-notch or not, you search internet, you'll find it, right? So I don't even need to say anything, and you already know who we are. And I don't really need to say much. If you read my book, you already know me from A to B, A to Z, I haven't really got to Z yet, right? My life is only A to what? A to H? Okay. All right. Our next point is resilient strategies for small business that is impacted. So in here, and we say that leveraging state local support program. This is very important. Many state government would activate emergency small business funds during the federal shutdown because they know the cash flow issue. Explore your local commerce, your local chambers of commerce to see what they have, right? And also the credit unions and the local banks, not the largely federal government controlled banks, but the local small banks. There are about 3,800 of those banks out there in our country. They often offer temporary shutdown relief and loans to the business owners with lower interest, and the bridge financing might even be made available to you at the local place. And bring more people with you, and be more mindful, purposeful in acting on shared prosperities. So this is a concept that I talked between Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit and some of our webinars. And one of my very good friend and talked about, she runs a bank. So she shared with me about this concept, shared prosperity. So shared prosperity just means that we outreach to what we can outreach. Anything under our control, and we act on this principle. So we go to small businesses to conduct our business activities. We purposefully use community members to do things that impact our business. So if we can spend money and use what we can control for the betterment of the community we live in, then we already made a contribution. We don't have to go to Congress to be a senator or congressperson to make a difference. We can make a difference with that little money we have in our pocket to create shared prosperity within our own community, okay? And you can always Be proactive, contacting your Congress people, your senator, voice the hardship you are in as a business owner, and give them, even though they don't run your business, but if you can bring the feelings to them, have them feel the burns, have them feel the desperation, have them understand the small businesses, owners, how we live our life, that would help, right? So those are bottom-up impact we can do and within our control. So this is where I say small business owners, we hold our own future. We hold our own future. So, the concluding advice from Community CPA. As a small business owner, at this time, we know we are quietly scared and deeply worried. We wipe the scary and the worry off our face. We jam them into our chest. We hold the sky for those who depend on us. Employees, communities around us. That is why Community CPA is here. You can count on us to not only understand the sky you are holding, and we also have the knowledge and the means to lessen the weight for you. So it is not a time to manage your situation alone. Our advice to all of our small business owners, especially in this difficult time, is this. Expand your gratitude in any direction you can. Fill your heart with love every day. That's number one, most important, because it's very easy to go the other way right now. But our advice, number one, is to expand your gratitude in any direction you can. Fill your heart with love every day. Reach out to professional help at any hours you have. And focus your business every minute you can spend. You will stand tall and strong, and you will win no matter which president or which party is ruling the country. You are the world today, and you make the world tomorrow. That is our conclusion for you. It is our advice for you to act upon. All right. Desire to know more? You have our partners on the list right here. It is also on our website. So you can book our time and we come to create the world for you. And our contact information is also here, where you can email Catherine at Community CPA, tell her what you want to hear. We will put together for you. And our main number is 515-288-3188. And you call us. At our firm, we don't have dropped calls. You ring your number, we will come online. Real person, real voice, even with accent, is amazing. All right? So our office opens 6 days a week, from Monday to Saturday, every time. We don't have tax season. We just have the 4th season. So it is 12 months a year, and every Monday to Saturday we're open. You can call us, and I will talk to you again. This is the spirit of Community CPA.